Football wasn't always the fast, tactical game we see today. In fact, before one man came along, it was slow, chaotic, and predictable. Teams lined up with 5 attackers, defenses were often exposed, and the game lacked the structure we take for granted now. But then, Herbert Chapman changed everything. With one simple tactical move, he revolutionized football forever. His WM formation created a new era of strategy, shifting the focus from reckless attacking to balanced, structured, and efficient football. It was so effective that even today, some of the world's best managers still use elements of his system. But here's the tragedy. Chapman's journey was cut short before he could see the full impact of his revolution. What more could he have achieved if he had more time? And how exactly did his tactical genius shape the modern game? This is the story of Herbert Chapman, the mastermind who transformed football forever. The boy who saw football differently. Herbert Chapman was born in 1878 in Kiveton Park, England, a small mining town where hard work and perseverance were part of daily life. Growing up in a working-class family, opportunities were scarce, and football was more than just a pastime. It was an escape from the struggles of everyday life. Like many boys of his time, Chapman spent hours playing football in the streets, kicking a ball made of rags or leather, honing his skills on rough and uneven surfaces. But what made him different was how he viewed the game. While most kids played purely for enjoyment, Chapman was always analyzing, looking for patterns in how teams moved, how defenders reacted, and how gaps appeared in formations. His love for strategy and problem-solving was evident even at a young age. Unlike others who relied on instinct alone, Chapman had a methodical mind, breaking the game down like a puzzle. He questioned why some teams were better than others, why certain styles were more effective, and how positioning could change the flow of a match. As he grew older, Chapman pursued a career as a forward, playing for several lower league clubs. But despite his passion for football, he was never a standout player. His career on the pitch was unremarkable, and by the time he retired, few would have guessed that this man, who had never reached the top level, would one day change football forever. But Chapman's real talent wasn't playing. It was thinking, and soon he would get the chance to revolutionize the sport with his ideas. The birth of a tactical genius. Chapman's first steps into management came with smaller clubs, where he began experimenting with different tactical setups. While most managers of his time relied on individual brilliance and rigid formations, Chapman was already thinking ahead. He believed that football could be played with more structure, discipline, and intelligence rather than just relying on pure talent. His first major breakthrough came at Huddersfield Town in the early 1920s. When he arrived, the club was struggling, lacking both direction and a winning identity. But Chapman didn't just focus on signing better players, he brought in a completely new approach to football. He emphasized positional awareness, quick transitions, and team movement, ensuring that every player had a defined role in both attack and defense. His revolutionary ideas paid off almost immediately. Under Chapman, Huddersfield won back-to-back First Division titles in 1924 and 1925, proving that his tactical philosophy worked. He had transformed a mid-table club into the best team in England, and people started taking notice. But Chapman wasn't done yet. His next move would change football history forever. In 1925, he took over at Arsenal, a club with no major trophies to its name. Many doubted whether he could repeat his success, but Chapman had a clear vision. He wanted Arsenal to play smarter, faster, and more structured football. And to do that, he introduced one simple tactical change that would transform football forever. The WM formation, the simple tactic that changed football forever. Before Chapman, most teams played in a 2-3-5 formation. This meant 2 defenders at the back, often overwhelmed, 3 midfielders trying to control the game, 5 attackers constantly pushing forward. The result? High-scoring but chaotic matches where defenses were often too exposed. Chapman realized that football needed balance, a formation that would strengthen defense without sacrificing attack. So he made a small but revolutionary change. He moved 1 midfielder into defense, creating a 3rd defender. He pulled 2 inside forwards deeper, improving control in midfield. This created what is now known as the WM formation because the player positions looked like the letters W and M on the pitch. Why was this so revolutionary? It gave teams defensive stability. No longer were defenders outnumbered by attackers. It created a structured midfield. Instead of chaos, teams could now control possession. It allowed for quick counterattacks. Teams could now defend smartly and attack explosively. With this one simple tactical change, Chapman didn't just improve Arsenal, he changed football forever. The results were immediate. Arsenal became unstoppable, winning their first ever First Division title in 1931. Chapman had taken a mediocre club and turned them into champions, all through tactical brilliance. Today, variations of his WM formation are still used in modern football strategies. Chapman's influence can be seen in modern pressing systems, positional play, and defensive structures. More than just a tactic, Chapman's other innovations. Chapman wasn't just a tactical genius. He was a visionary who modernized football beyond tactics. Floodlights. Chapman pushed for night matches, making football more accessible to fans. Numbered shirts. He introduced shirt numbers, allowing players to be easily identified. White footballs. He suggested using white footballs to improve visibility during matches. Fitness and training. One of the first managers to emphasize nutrition, structured fitness programs, and tactical drills. Chapman believed that football wasn't just a sport, it was entertainment. He wanted bigger crowds, better stadiums, and more excitement. In many ways, he helped create the modern football experience. Chapman's critics and challenges. Not everyone welcomed Herbert Chapman's ideas. In an era when football was largely about individual talent and raw physicality, his emphasis on structure, teamwork, and tactical discipline was met with skepticism. Many traditionalists viewed football as a simple game, one that didn't need to be broken down into complex strategies or rigid formations. Critics mocked his tactical approach, believing that overthinking football would take away its natural flow and excitement. Some saw formations and positional awareness as unnecessary restrictions, arguing that the game was about instinct, not structure. Others even accused Chapman of ruining the beauty of football, claiming that his focus on organization and efficiency made the sport too rigid. They argued that his tactics prioritized results over entertainment, taking the unpredictability out of the game. But Chapman didn't care about the critics, he cared about winning, and his success silenced the doubters. His teams won trophies, his tactical innovations worked, his structured approach allowed players to be more effective, proving that football could be both beautiful and intelligent. Chapman's impact didn't just influence his own era, it laid the foundation for future generations of managers. His vision reshaped the way football was played, turning strategy into a crucial part of the sport. But just as his revolution was taking over the footballing world, tragedy struck. Chapman's life was cut short before he could witness the full extent of his legacy, a loss that left the football world wondering what more he could have achieved. The tragic end of a football genius. In 1934, just as Arsenal was dominating English football, Chapman suddenly fell ill with pneumonia. At only 55 years old, he passed away, at the peak of his career. The football world was shocked. Arsenal continued to win titles after his death, but Chapman never got to witness the full impact of his ideas. But his legacy, it never faded. The lasting legacy of Herbert Chapman. Herbert Chapman wasn't just a football manager, he was one of the sport's greatest pioneers. His WM formation laid the groundwork for modern tactics. His focus on fitness, training, and teamwork shaped football professionalism. His off-the-pitch innovations changed how football is watched, played, and marketed. Even today, managers like Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, and Carlo Ancelotti follow principles introduced by Chapman. His vision of football as a tactical and structured game lives on. Every time you watch a modern football match, you are seeing Chapman's influence. The man who built modern football, Herbert Chapman, didn't just coach football, he redefined it. But imagine if he had lived longer. Would he have introduced even more tactical revolutions? Could he have shaped football in ways we can't even imagine? We'll never know. But one thing is certain, football today exists because of Herbert Chapman. What do you think was Chapman's greatest contribution? Was it his WM formation, his off-the-pitch innovations, or something else? Let us know in the comments. And if you love football history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more deep dives into the game's greatest minds. Thanks for watching.